G'day and welcome to the Inforunners. I'm Execute. Today I'm joined by Space Tomato. How you doing, buddy?
Hello, I'm good.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me on.
that's all right. I think this is your second sale with us since you've become an Inforunner. So,
Yeah.
just realised I've turned on the red circle. No one saw the red circle. It's fine. Don't worry. I haven't used the red circle in a while. Anyway, so we're gonna kick it off to the browser. We're actually obviously looking at Crusader, Tumbril, and MISC today. What's your take on the sale so far? Obviously, this is the first time I've had you on. So, have you been enjoying Invictus?
I've to be honest, I don't actually pay much attention to sales as we were talking about a little bit. So when it comes to Invictus Week, the thing that I'm usually most excited about is just seeing all the newcomers getting in and getting to experience the game with people who are just kind of learning for the first time. Unfortunately, this has been a difficult one for some people. For some people, it's been fine, but performance has not been amazing because of how many people I'm guessing it came in for this event. So
Yeah.
it's been a little bit meh. It reminds me of the first Invictus.
Badges has been complaining about when he opens his loot, like his inventory. He literally has to wait for it to load because there's so many people accessing the server that it's now got to load his inventory. So
yeah, the party system, the chat system, inventory system, ASOP terminals, like all that kind of stuff has been very slow all week.
All right. The Warbond CCU for today is the C2 Hercules. One thing we're learning about the Warbonds, they are definitely not as good as they were in the past. And if you actually look at the one today for the Hercules, it is now $20 with a $30 saving, where previously it was $10 with a $40 saving. So definitely they're cracking down on them a lot harder than they used to, and they're just not as good as value as they used to be. But besides that, we'll actually go through the ships. So tell me your experience with the A2 Hercules.
It's a pretty cool ship. I mean, it's the only ship that can bomb right now, which is if you can come up with a scenario for it, it's useful. But
and he's just hit the nail on the head. That's the main problem with this ship. It's very expensive, and actually, when you get in game, it's actually cheaper than I can't remember the name of the ship. There was a ship that it was cheaper than, and that ship was only like $300. So it's actually very overpriced for what it is compared to its in-game counterpart price. So for me, it's very much a pass, just due to how much they're charging for it. It's a rule of cool, that combat tax, essentially, for me.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's practically a reskin of another ship, which is actually fairly useful. The C2 and the M2 both, I think, are pretty useful for vehicle and cargo hauling, but this thing loses a lot of space to bombs that aren't really useful right now. In fact, the main bombs that we're probably going to be using are what they're building right now, the smaller ones. So, I mean, I just don't really see much in this ship. And as they say on Shark Tank, for those reasons, I'm out.
Yeah.
Am I gonna get sued now?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, it's exactly the same for me. Like when you get in game already, and it doesn't match its dollar value for me, it's just an instant out. So yeah. I have to agree with you on that one. All right, next cab off the rank is the Aries, but we'll partner these together. We've got the Inferno and the Ion. Do you have a preference over either? And for you, is it an earning game or is it a must buy?
I mean, the Inferno just looks better. You know, I don't care much for the gigantic gun with thrusters on it. I think it's a cool concept. I think it's got its uses for sure. Like when you get your squadron in there, the Aries is going to have a place, despite what people say about it being nerfed and stuff. I do think that I think it's definitely worth getting in game, though. I wouldn't buy this outside of game.
So yeah, it suffers from like the A2. In fact, it's the funny thing that they have a whole event based around combat and military ships, because it's usually those that suffer from some form of overpricedness. So it's kind of really, Invictus is a really weird one for me because like most of the ships I don't recommend because of that fact. So yeah,
which is funny. It's funny because combat is probably the place they have the most space to expand on gameplay, and it doesn't really that much.
I think that's a part of why they are priced the way they are, though, because right now you can use combat ships where a lot of the other stuff you're waiting for a function or a feature. So because they're cooler now, they charge more for them. So yeah, but both the Aries and the Ion for me is a pass, especially since I think only next patch they'll be available in game. So yeah, C2 Hercules. Now we're getting into more interesting stuff. So you gave me your take on the A2. Give me your take on the C2.
I mean, Crusader ships are expensive.
Well, this is probably
I was saying
this is probably where you and I are going to start to disagree. But that's what Inforunners is about. It's different opinions. So yeah,
no, I mean,
opinion.
like I was saying before this, I don't even look at sales pages. Like I was just freaking out about how nice this sales page is, and Execute was saying, you know, we've been using this for like 3 sales. So I try not to get involved in this stuff. The C2 out of all of the ships in Crusader's lineup that I would say are worth getting in with real money, I think the C2 would probably be it. I think it's the most versatile. You'll be able to use it for the most amount of things in the future. I don't know the specific specs between the M2 and the C2, but I imagine the M2 is going to make for a more interesting target.
So I'll tell you straight about it. And it's good you ask a question like that, because other people are probably asking the same question. So the M2 gets more armor, but slightly less cargo. Right? So that's basically the crux of it between those two, right? So
does the M2 get any more turrets?
Yeah, it does get some more guns and stuff. And the A2, I've got to be honest, the A2 does get a lot more guns. It's basically like a hammerhead that just faces towards the ground.
Okay.
So you do get more guns as well as you go up. But being a cargo ship, cargo is obviously the main importance. For me, the entire Hercules series is a pass. And I'll tell you why. Because the Caterpillar is cheaper and it carries less cargo than the C2, but more cargo than the M2. And it has all those modules that we have yet to see what they're going to do. So what you're essentially giving up for the Caterpillar is you're giving up the ability to take vehicles, but gaining all the things that those modules are going to do. And they originally designed 11 different... it was 14 if you include the nose as well. So there's a couple of special nose modules, and then there's the actual internal modules. All that extra gameplay, or the ability to put vehicles towards the ground. And here's the other part. You've got the Liberator that's a thing. The Liberator at the sale was only, I think it's $50, $55 more than the M2 right there. And it also carries 3 ships. And it has the same amount of cargo. So the Liberators, of course, obviously it's bigger. There are drawbacks like that. But it's got the same number of crew. You lose the guns, obviously, because you're going, but the primary functionality, which is that transportation aspect, you're able to transport the vehicles and ships, which is for $50 more. So when the Liberator and the Caterpillar is a thing, I struggle to justify any of the Hercules existence, and I think it was really sold on that rule of cool. Like that's why the Aries is a thing. They rewrote the lore for the Aries to exist because they were trying to push sales of combat ships through Crusader, and Crusader didn't have combat ships, you see. So if Paul or Algrid were here, they would be telling you about that. So I'm trying to fill in for them today.
Is there a reasonable amount of cargo left if you put a vehicle in the M2? Do you know?
It doesn't quite half it, but it does negate it quite a bit. And it's the same. It's even worse than the A2 as well, because you've also got the 2 big bomb areas and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah,
I'm just.
So it's not really cargo space. The way you've got to look at it is weight, right? So you can so to give an example, you've got a more easier example is the Starfarer and the Starfarer Gemini, right? They both physically have the same size cargo bay, but because the Gemini is carrying more armor, when you go to leave planet, it's got more weight. And so the thrusters can't pick up the weight as much. So you may be able to go down to planet with a Gemini, but if you try to get off with the same cargo, you're going to probably have to drop cargo off to actually get off the planet. And that's why there's a ship called the SRV, literally, because it's probably going to pull some of those heavier ships back up into orbit and stuff like that.
I was mainly just thinking of the comparison you were making between the M2 versus a Cat and a Liberator. Besides the difference in the number of people you would need for that. Like, would there be an actual comparison there in terms of in-game value? But that's getting into another conversation.
That is a deep dive. But we can only really go on what we know now. But yeah, that's definitely a test down the road to do. Like when the Liberator comes out, when the Cat comes out and stuff and when I say Cat, I mean all the modules and stuff like that. But we're really waiting on that Liberator. But you could essentially fill them with cargo. And that system of weight isn't really implemented at the moment either. That will probably come online with armor and stuff like that. And I still kind of struggle to understand why armor's taking so long to...
The fantastical armor feature that we haven't even like heard about recently.
It's crazy. I just don't quite understand. So the last ship today, obviously, the Mercury Star Runner. I think this is a really good daily driver.
Yes.
One of the best in the game. Put it this way, it basically is a different Connie. It does everything the Connie does except the snub. And so basically what you're losing is you lose the snub and you gain a whole other profession of data running. So that's my take on it. What's your take on it, Space?
This is my daily runner. This was actually my end game, one of my end game ships. Data running, exploration, data broking, that segment of gameplay is, besides like just the adventures I want to do. Doing a lot of Chris Roberts hand talking here. Besides those adventures that I want to do, I also want to do that kind of stuff with data. And so this was one of the ships I really wanted to work towards. This is a earning game for me, but then somebody gifted it to me. So now I have it. I need to find out another excuse, but this is a fantastic ship. I think it's in a really good spot in terms of size. It's about 30 to 40 meters long, I think. That is, in my opinion, the best size for ships in this game. You get 2-3 friends to go with you. This has got storage. It's got beds. It's got a kitchen. It's got multiple turrets and a space for a co-pilot. This is just a great ship. Also space for vehicle and cargo.
Give me a couple of negatives about it, and I'll give you mine, because once you see what I'm about to say, you can't unsee it. So you give me your negatives. So first.
Negatives, the wasted space for the tunnels under the rest of the game.
That's it in the entire nutshell. Yeah.
The single entrance in is quite annoying. And then there's a couple things that are like glitches, like the doors being weird. And I would say one of the last things probably is just the fact that you can't really use it for what it's meant right now.
You would, I was watching you on stream yesterday when me and Pickles were playing, and you were trying to get out, and you're like, doors, doors, because there was a lot of doors on this ship.
And they just stick there. They take like a couple of seconds to react to you getting close to them. It's very annoying.
So besides what you said, the only one I would add is I don't like the elevator in the cargo bay. I just wish it was stairs, because there's no reason it couldn't be stairs. And they have actually said that they are going to add another entrance at another date. But a really big oversight to not have 2 entrances.
It was weird that there's no like elevator near the front.
Yeah, because when you walk in via the back too, all the components that control the entire ship are in one room right there. So anyone that actually gets on the ship, you're done.
You got to keep that door locked.
So anyway, all right. So that's Crusader. Moving on to Tumbril. Now, most of the time on Inforunners, we basically don't recommend...
Look at the sales page.
We don't recommend any vehicles, right? So I can't recommend any of these, but you're a streamer, so you play a lot more than I do in that regard. Are there any of these vehicles that you actually recommend, and why? And I'll open the floor to you, because they're very expensive for what they are. Considering, like, this is a vehicle, and it's...
my gosh, it's $80?
You can
I'm sorry.
You can almost get 2 Auroras for that. You can get an Aurora for 45. You see, so with a package.
Yeah, so it's the price of 2 spaceships.
Yeah, I just can't get behind any of them for their price point. The really scary one is the Ballista's like $140.
Jeez. Oh my! See the tangible value of that. They haven't proven. They've shown us that they really would like to do more ground-based gameplay. They've improved the driving mechanics for hovercrafts. They've brought in new outpost types. They're doing the navigation mesh. They're improving wheeled vehicle combat. But we still don't have a reason to think that ground gameplay is amazing enough to go and spend $140. $140 on...
I think they really have to be...
Game.
They have to be priced scaled to what they are, and because they're vehicles and they don't do as much. Like look at the range right there, very cool, $40, but that's the same price as an Aurora without the game. That's crazy, and an Aurora will do 10 times what this thing will ever do. And the other way to look at it, if they had priced it to what it's worth, like if that was $10, right? How many people would buy that? A lot of people would have brought that. They would have made it up on volume. You know, go ahead.
Maybe they see that as the problem. Maybe they're pricing them because they don't want too many people to buy this. But it definitely, the prices are just, because I can't answer why else they would try. I mean, go back to that one. Go back to the what is it? The
RN?
the RN.
Yeah.
This is Off-Road Explorer.
Yep.
This doesn't do anything in the game right now. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
so,
basically going to be a scanning vehicle. It really doesn't do a lot, does it? Yeah.
So like, how could they possibly charge 65? Like, it's more than the cost of the game to get this vehicle.
Yep.
I feel like they must be just like, we don't want any more people to buy these. So
and every single one of these vehicles, except that's the other thing we've got to give criticism for. Every single one of these vehicles is available in game. Apparently this one that hasn't even been made yet, you can fly it today. And how do you fly a motorbike? You can't. It's impossible.
Well, they all say fly. You fly the tank.
Yeah.
Fly the rover. Come on.
Yeah. Fly
Get in and just look up.
But the point about this one specifically is this is actually in concept. So whoever put that on there, someone got lazy and was just copy
that one you
pasting.
cannot try for free. Yeah.
All right, so they're all a pass from us, and every single Inforunner will tell you the same thing. From a dollar perspective, they're absolutely terrible, and they're available in game. Do a couple of missions and just get them in game. Right?
Do not get them for like some kind of LTI token. Just don't. It's not worth it.
You can't get LTI with any of them.
Cool. There you go.
They're beyond concept. The only LTI token that will be really available this sale will be the mule, and that's on Drake Day. They will sell a lot of that thing. Have you driven it yet?
No, haven't even looked at it in game.
Me and Agra got a chance to drive the mule. I'll talk about that. That's a Drake thing, so we'll talk about that after the show. Sorry, getting off topic again. Me and Drake, me and Space don't get a lot of time to talk in person. All our messages are usually back and forth in text. So when we get to catch up, we tend to go off on tangents pretty quickly. All right, Freelancer MIS. What's your thoughts on that, buddy?
Freelancer MIS. Oh, that thing's a missile boat, right? So
that's the one. Yep.
The Freelancer is a solid ship. I like where it sits. I think like it's been in the game for such a long time, and it's still no other ship has come in and really taken that like good mid-sized role. The Cutlass is kind of the same, but this one I think of as being a little bigger. I think this is a fantastic ship for somebody who has one or two friends who knows that they're going to be doing combat missions in ships and they want to play together.
I'd say for now, missiles are not in the best place. But when missiles get in a better place, this thing is going to be pretty deadly. It does have extra armor as well. Like you can tell that because of the green color. That's a real military thing with the game at the moment. Anything that's got that kind of green has extra armor and stuff like that.
Green means combat.
Yeah, for me though, again, it's a combat ship. You're giving up a lot of stuff to get guns and stuff. It's just not the best for what it does. I know some people absolutely love this ship though. Again, it's a niche. If you know your niche, then get your niche. But for me, it's an earning game because it's available in game. So yeah. Miss Razor.
And mine I guess I should just put this out there as a blanket statement. I'm basically all earning game.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. There are a few ships here at the sale that that you can get behind and recommend, but again, being all combat, a lot of these ships are a bit overpriced. But things like the Endeavor and the Crucible, you can get behind. You get the whole price.
Sure.
The Endeavor's cheap for what you're going to get. It's not in the game yet, and that thing's going to skyrocket in price. So in a really weird way, you can get behind some things, but not behind others. Yeah, this is for races, but I think again, when you got something like the M50 that's $90 to $100, you can get cheaper racing ships. I just think this is a bit too niche. What's your take on the Razor?
This is a really nice looking money sink. I mean, it's a beautiful ship. I love it. The commercial for it is amazing. I love being around this ship. It's just gorgeous in game and out, but it is a racing ship. I mean, it's tiny. You can use it as like a little scooter, get to and from cities and stuff like that. But so this not much utility.
This will be like a military scout vehicle. It'll be something someone uses to go in, quickly see what the enemy's doing, and then gets out. That'll be its role at the end of the day because of that stealth component. It's got stealth. It's got a very small signature, and because it's a single person ship, it's gonna be a lot harder to spot. So it's your scout vehicle for military stuff.
But what kind of scanning equipment does it even have? Like, does it have a larger scanner than, say, something like a Pisces, which might be better for that?
No, I don't think it does actually. I think it's designed more for visual reconnaissance than anything else.
Mm,
So go in, have a look at a base,
getting
and
real
it's
close.
it's there so quick you just don't know it's even there. But yeah, again, at $155, that's an earning game for me because again, a lot of these combat chips are just overpriced. The Tanner. This is probably the best of the Reliance series, but unfortunately, the Reliance series is just in a really bad place right now, and there are a lot better ships for the
How many
price.
times have you said that on this page? Like,
Yeah,
this is in a really bad place.
it's a repetitive syndrome, unfortunately.
Oh man.
So again, you've got let's look at some ships that are around that area. You got the Avenger, you've got the Cutlass, the Arrow, all better at what they do. This does a little combo of both, but again, just being so big, it tends to die in combat a lot. So, yeah. What's your thoughts on the Tanner?
This one's a little mixed for me because, like you said, you know, it's never been the ship in the best place. Whether that was
Yeah.
because of like the coupled landing and orientation modes, or the fact that like you couldn't even like use the ship for a little while there.
Yeah.
They've always just had their problems, and they're super unique ships. So I really want to be on their side. I think it's a great ship that hopefully once it's a little bit better, it'll be worth it. I think at $75, like this is something that you could consider for a game package even. But like you said, there are better choices at that price point if you're going to buy something in real life.
What I'd say is if you're kind of upgrading, say going from an Avenger to a Cutlass, maybe stop off at the Tanner during this sale or get a CCU adjacent to it and just try it so you can see what we're talking about. There are some very unique things about this ship, but it's just got drawbacks. You know, like the Avenger can at least fit some small bikes in it. This can't. The Cutlass can literally fit 2 rocks. So you're losing more than you're gaining with this ship, and sadly, it just doesn't fit that middle price point. And it's kind of like the Nomad, where the Nomad has a similar issue, where the Nomad can, it can take a rock, but it's all cargo. It's just not enough combat in it. And the Avenger and Cutlass sitting there so strongly either side of it, you just got better choices. And that's unfortunately the problem. All right, Starfarer Gemini. Man, this thing is really really interesting. This is a ship that I can get behind because at the moment the Starfarer is the only gas miner we have in the game, the only one. There's probably 3 more coming, but again, like when you look at something like the Mole or the Prospector versus the Orion and stuff like that, different strengths. So this obviously is a gas miner and a refueler to make up for the fact that it's probably not the best of the gas miners. And then obviously it's the military version. If you run it through your head, most of the Inforunners will tell you that the Gemini is probably the best version to have because the place that this will be used most is in large fleets to move across the verse. And if you are ever going to get attacked, you're going to want that extra armor. And in space, the extra armor, the weight doesn't matter, right? Because you're in space. So the Gemini for me is probably the best version of the Starfarer to have, and also because it actually this is the weird thing, in game the Gemini is actually cheaper than the Starfarer, but when you purchase it you actually get all the stuff that comes with the Starfarer with the Gemini. So you get the refineries, and you get you also get the so you can change the missile scoop over from the missiles to the scoop. This will be in the final game. So you're actually getting like a bunch of little extra tools. So you're getting best of both worlds. You're getting all the stuff for the Starfarer and all the stuff for the Gemini when you buy the Gemini. So it is a little bit different to some of the other ships in game where the upgrade's actually a detractor. But in this, it's a plus. What's your thoughts on the Gemini space?
Well, just looking at the dollar value, it's expensive as heck. So I will go ahead and say, like, just right away, it's a pass for real money. But in terms of in-game value, this ship is great. I mean, the Starfarer has been kind of like a sleepy giant. Everybody hated it. It was the first big ship to come into the game. This is like a 7-year-old ship. Terrible interior, never really useful. But then they added refueling this year, right? And like out of nowhere, this ship started to become really, really useful. And like you said, we're going to start seeing bigger systems. Pyro is going to be huge. People are going to need these ships. People need refueling.
Yeah.
This is going to be a great ship to have, especially in a fleet. And it offers some gameplay. It offers a multi-crew space for you to have with your friends. It offers defenses, like you said, with the turrets.
Yep.
And it has tons of cargo space, so you can be doing stuff while you're also supplying people with fuel. I like the ship. I think the industrial ships have the best lasting power in this game. And this one's going to be here forever.
It really does have a jack of all trades personality about it, because you've also got that large cargo bay, you've got the gas mining that we haven't seen yet, and you've got the refinery. You don't get a lot of ships that have that many kind of professions in it, if you know what I mean. Like even if we look at the Starfarer that we talked about, the Star Runner we talked about previously, that's just data running in cargo. So this one ups that one again. So you almost got to wonder why it's got so many parts to it, and I think it's because it's probably going to be one of the weaker gas miners. But we'll wait and see. And obviously,
reminds me. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's also only got 3 refineries, where something like the Expanse has got 6. So it is definitely doing multiple things at once. What were you going to say?
It just reminds me a little bit of the Vulcan, with the kind of different industrial things packaged up into one ship.
Yeah. I think that's also why refueling is one of the weaker professions. I don't think we'll see 4 refuelers. I think we'll just see the Starfarer and the Vulcan, and probably that's it. Because like this thing refuels every ship in the game, and the Vulcan with the drones does all the fighters and stuff. Like it does the kind of mobile stuff where in combat as well. I think a lot of what the Vulcan's going to be doing is in combat, like maybe possibly repairing a tank. Like, so it'll sit behind a hill or something and repair a tank that's out in combat and try and get it out of there, like recover the tank. But yeah, it's definitely, like, I know we've hated on a lot of ships. It's one of the ships I can actually get behind. Do I think there'll be better ships than it? Yes, but again, because it does multiple things, it might be a good place to start and then work out from. But as you said, it really does need that rework, and CID did mention recently that it is going to be getting an internal rework, especially of that upper section, which is just... The other thing that's really interesting about it, I'll just say, is it actually has a lot of crawl spaces. All the crawl spaces in the game have been removed. The Vanguard actually originally started with crawl spaces, and now you just walk straight through it. It's like one tube that you walk through. And
they got tired of that.
This literally has crawl spaces where you get down on your belly and you crawl through them. Not crouch, crawl. Right. So, and they removed all that because the AI, it was too complicated for the AI. I think the best we're going to get for AI now is like in the Mercury Star Runner, where you crouch and walk around in the vents.
Yeah.
You're not going to get crawling anymore. Yeah.
I think I could see them continuing to package refuelers with gas refiners. I think it makes a lot of sense that you would expect the person who's out there scooping the fuel is also going to turn around and sell it right afterwards instead of taking it back to a station. I could see them bringing in another larger ship than the Starfarer that's meant for that kind of thing on a larger scale.
If you're interested in that, by the way, I'll put it in the cards above. 9 ships that you never knew existed, and we actually talked about that about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I should show that to you. We actually went through that, and you can almost work out what the ships are left in the entire game. Me and Badgers are gonna
Number 5 will shock you.
It's a little bit like that. All right, so that's all the ships for today. We're on to the paints. There was only 2 real new ones. There's one for the Mercury Star Runner, which is the Skyrider paint. I had noticed that before. Space had noticed that before, but I know you guys will let me know in the comments if this has been available before. And the other one was the Celestial Blue paint for the Aries. Neither of those really take my fancy. How about you, Space?
Not really. Assuming that the skins usually look better in these pictures than they do in the game, none of these really grab me.
Yeah. So for me, again, there's not really been many new paints this year. It's almost like they've given up on paints, which is a bit sad.
Whoa. Those Hull A paints that came out earlier were some of the best I think I've seen in this game. I really, really liked those.
Yeah. Most of the Invictus ones have been like that blue and gold theme.
Oh, you mean like the Invictus ones? Yeah. I got you.
All right. With that, let us know in the comments below if there's anything.
Hold on. I want to call an audible. Can we talk real quick about the sales page?
Yeah,
because I had a little moment about that before we got into the episode.
Well, see, now you're doing it at the end. all the people that have already left are not going to hear it, but that's fine. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. This is for the people who care.
Yeah.
I like go back to the page real quick.
Yeah, sure.
And like, if you look at how nice the front, like if you go to the Invictus week thing, the event schedule there, you click on that, and just looking at how nice all of these videos work together, and like the page loads in, and everything is very, very well organized, these cool gradients and buttons and colors and pictures and all these cool animations. And then you go to the rest of the website where like they post the lore, or they post like the different com links and stuff like that, and it's just like, come on. I mean, so these pages have been updated. The monthly report, they look a little bit better with the new style, but I cannot get over how good, how nice to be on the new parts of the website that have to do with sales are, compared to how it's not even about ease of use at that point. It's more about the fact that I just don't feel comfortable on the main website. Like they've just not been updating it. And it doesn't feel up to date. It doesn't feel like a modern site. It doesn't feel like a site in 2022 for a game that's pushing the boundaries of gaming.
Yeah,
and
Algrid and myself did actually mention this to Sandy after the show with her, with that interview that we did, that we think the site needs a big drastic overhaul. It needs a simplification. It needs to be very easy. And I've even said to you, I'd love to see a video of someone that's never seen the game before actually trying to purchase a ship, because I'm pretty sure the only people that are purchasing ships for the very first time are being handheld through the experience by friends, because I just think it's way too convoluted for what it is. It's not simple. It's not, people kind of don't understand what they're buying. It's not laid out, like, why am I buying a ship? I just want to buy the game, things like that. I would almost like it if it was more like you load up the game for the first time and it offers you, three or four different ships. So like the Aurora, the Mustang, 100i, whatever. And you basically pick it. And once it says this is a permanent choice. Once you pick it, you are locked in. So they can sit there and compare the starting ones, and then they're locked into that choice, and then they start the game from there and off they go. I think that would be a much better way to do it personally, but let us know in the comments below. I think Space is right, and I agree with him. I think that they do, like, maybe it is time to do it. And I think the other way I look at it is maybe they'll do it with Squadron 42. Maybe they will actually. There is a big.
I think that's too late.
Coming. Yeah. I don't know.
The people are going to hear about this game. They're going to start the marketing campaign, and people are going to try and go to the website. First of all, they need to go to starcitizen.com, right? Not Robert Space Industries.
Let me show you that, sir. We were talking about this. Look,
so
Star Citizen, .com is this. What the
somebody's been squatting.
What the fuck? And nobody's going to buy that off this dude, because CIG can just take it like that. So they need to take it, and even if they just take that domain and it's redirected to robertspaceindustriescom, that's another thing. Like, a new person's like, why isn't it starcitizen.com? Why is it rsi.com? Some of the stuff we were talking about earlier is why they called a CCU, and then in other places they're called upgrades, and in other places they're called ship upgrades. We're getting very off topic with today's episode.
I gotta rant a little bit sometimes. I'm sorry.
We're doing it at the end, so it's fine. So again, if you're not interested in this, you can already leave. That's fine. But yeah, tell me in the comments below, like, not just like what we talked about today, but like this part that Space is interested in as well, and I'm interested in. Do you think that it's time for an overhaul, or do you think they should do it just before Squadron 42? I think that's where it's going to come, Space. I think they're like, as they start to do that hype train, I think the whole website will get an overhaul.
Definitely. Like, if they're going to do it right when the marketing cycle starts, that's fine. But if they wait until Squadron launches, I'm just saying, like, you need to have, this is the first thing people are going to see when they look up Star Citizen. This right here is the very first page. This does not look like a fun, like, it's cool. The picture is cool. And the first thing you see here is learn how to play. Yeah. But it just doesn't look good. Look at the sales pages.
Well, we can go into
design has changed.
Yeah.
This website was designed in like 2014.
Yeah. And this is the same here. Like, this is the actual sale page. It's and I do know if you don't have an account, it does appear differently. Like, it tries to handhold you and explain what Squadron 42 is and Star Citizen, stuff like that. But I actually think they need to do a bit of marketing research and simplify the absolute shit out of it.
Yeah.
Again, what's insurance, what's LTI, all this type of stuff. What's CCUs? Why aren't they just called ship upgrades? Like I think you and I could sit. If you had a round table of content creators, I think if they sat down with a bunch of the community, I think within a day you could smash this out and basically work out a really simple structure of how it's got to be fixed. But I think this is one of the things where CIG should really definitely talk to the community about. We have gone so off the deep end of what this episode's supposed to be, but that's what happens when we get together. That's a very common thing. So I'm going to leave it there. If you want to do another episode, we'll do a whole episode on this, mate. Right? If that's what you want to do.
Rants.
Yeah, it is a bit of a rant, but that is what happens. So yeah. Let us know your thoughts below in the comments. Space, where can people find you, mate, if they want to check out your stuff?
I'm all over the place. Just type in Space Tomato on Google, really. I'm on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Discord, all the things. Yep. So check it out.
Yeah, and you stream, what, 3-4 days a week as well?
Yeah, I stream 4 days a week on Twitch and YouTube, and then make YouTube videos on 2 different YouTube channels.
There you go. So yeah, he's always playing the game. You can hang out, ask him his questions and opinions and stuff like that as well. All right. With that, he's been Space Tomato. I've been Execute, and we'll catch you in the next one.